Welcome to Cinema Convos. Today, I'm your host Yash. I'm here with my co-host Zach, and we're doing a reaction to the Oscars. We're recording right after we watch them. Maybe it's been like 30 minutes since they ended, and we thought it was such a good Oscar ceremony that we had to come on here and just talk about it because, well, we'll definitely talk about Anora, but there'll be a few other things we'll talk about just to give you guys an overview. But starting with Anora. Yeah, Zach, do you wanna take charge on that, and then I'll kind of give you my thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. Anora had a really big night tonight. So not only did they win Best Picture, Director, and Screenplay like we thought it would, it also won Best Actress for Mikey Madison and Best Editing, really surpassing the expectations that we had for it. I personally thought its cap would be 4, and it won 5 Oscars. So really big night for Anora.
I really thought its cap was like 3.
Yeah,
So like the surprises were it winning for best editing and winning for best leading actress for me at least.
same.
Which were both pleasant surprises because the editing in Anora is great. I went with Amelia Perez because the movie that had the most editing, and then I went with Demi Moore just because of the momentum. But I do think Anora has some of the best editing I've seen all year, and it also Mikey Madison is my favorite performance of last year out of everyone. So her winning really, really just. I mean, at that point, Anora was already locked in to win Best Picture.
Mhm.
Uh, so it didn't feel like a surprise when it won Best Picture, but it was just very satisfying. And Sean Baker was on stage multiple times tonight because he edited, wrote, and directed Anora, which I was not aware of him editing it. I really wasn't. That's just as a filmmaker, that's incredible that he did all of those things.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I have a question for you, Yash.
What's
So,
up?
what was the point watching the ceremony that you were pretty certain Anora was going to win Best Picture?
So I will say I was fairly sure when it won screenplay. However, Conclave also won screenplay, which still casted doubt. But I was thinking I was gonna say like when it won Best Director. However, it won Best Editing. And at that point, it had won what, 2 Oscars?
After editing, yes.
So it was really like it already surprised me once. But I think Best Director is when I was sure.
Mm-hmm.
Once a movie wins Best Director, I feel generally you feel pretty good about it when you picture.
Yeah, unless, except for a couple of cases, I think La La Land's a big exception.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so when it wins director, unless if it's been a few cases where your Best Picture film's not nominated for
Yeah.
director, which has happened, if it wins director, it's winning picture. I was certain when it won editing because of the fact
honestly, yeah.
I'll lean up with director. I felt this way when Parasite, when Bong Joon-ho won Best Director for Parasite back in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were not expecting him to do it.
Yeah.
When a film starts surprising, it's on a run. It's going to win Best Picture.
Yeah.
Now, it can surprise, like Poor Things was surprising in a lot of the craft categories
Mm-hmm.
then, and then All Quiet on the Western Front the year before was surprising in score and cinematography.
Yeah.
When you start surprising in editing is the one tech where you're like, hold on, this could be something. When it starts surprising there,
Yeah.
watch out, because editing is basically a mini Best Picture, Best Director category.
Mm-hmm.
So
It is basically the award for big award for post production.
Yeah, it's an award for pacing, best paced film,
Yeah.
and director is like you just like the overall kind of vibe of the film. Okay, we'll give it best directing, and
Yeah.
then if you just like the movie as a whole, you're going to give it picture. And so it already passed through the first hurdle. The second hurdle was winning director, and we just knew.
Yeah.
And then after that, Mikey Madison winning was just a pleasant surprise. It was the cherry on top.
It was really the moment that I remember the most because it's where I was at least sure of it happening, but I was the most happy to see it actually happen.
I agree. I will say though, I mean, Mikey Madison, I'm very happy she won more than Demi Moore. Now
Yeah.
I'm sad for Demi Moore. I am.
She was not pleased.
And now she wasn't. I would have listen. I hope she wins. I hope she wins an Oscar someday. I do, but I don't think she was robbed. In fact, she was good. Mikey Madison was better, but
Mm-hmm.
Fernando Torres was my favorite in the category, and
Fernando Torres would have been a great win as well.
I would have been equally happy because I can't say I would have been happier because I'm happy as can be with Mikey Madison winning.
Yeah,
so.
Mikey Madison was wonderful, and Anora going home with 5 Oscars. I think it's really wonderful because it is an indie film. It's a low budget film, and Sean Baker's kind of the champion of indie film in the modern age. And I think a lot of the things he said about indie cinema and all of the awards he's won this year, and what he said about the movie theater industry and supporting the movie theater, like he chose every win to tackle a different topic, and it's almost like he had a feeling he would win big tonight. So it was really cool to see all the topics he tackled. And in an earlier episode we did, I feel like I may have said Anora winning Best Picture might not be that pivotal, and I kind of take that back at this point because Anora is the first time in a while where a smaller film has won. I think.
I will say Everything Everywhere All at Once did a lot of this. I think Everywhere.
Well, Everything Everywhere All at Once had Michelle Yeoh in the lead, so like pretty famous actress.
And okay, I think Everything Everywhere All at Once, while it was independent, had a lot of independent qualities. That did more for just showing how open-minded the Academy is, showing it truly supports independent auteurs.
Yeah, which is very important for the future of what's to come.
Yeah. The last time, it's kind of funny. The last time I really felt like the Academy supported an independent filmmaker like this, Woody Allen, 1977, and because he was
with Annie Hall.
With Annie Hall. Now he didn't edit like Sean Baker did, but he wrote it, directed it, and acted in it. He won for the writing, directing, and the producing. He didn't win for acting, but he was nominated. Yeah. That's the last time they supported an auteur, and you can't exactly, the Academy isn't exactly rallying around him anymore. So it's great that they put the stamp on that, like Sean Baker is the future, and so is independent film.
Yeah, and that's great to see. And I know I saw an interview with Sean Baker not too long ago where he said like for years he has felt like left out of like the Academy Awards race. Like he's never felt like he was really in the club until Anora. Like he thought the Florida Project would be the movie that would propel him to that level of recognition. And the Florida Project I would still say is like a second best movie. So it's cool to see him finally get the recognition he deserves. Of the nominees, Anora is my second favorite nominee, so I'm not mad about a movie that I like that much winning Best Picture. That being said, as I said off the mic, I don't think any movies that came out this year compared to Oppenheimer or Killers of the Flower Moon even. Those two were just masterpieces in my eyes. But yeah, Anora is just when you look at it, when you compare Anora to like a big budget blockbuster like Oppenheimer, like it's a small scale movie with like a lot of unknown actors. But it still tells something equally profound, which is cool to see a movie with a lower budget and more limited locations and things like that. I think it's really cool.
I absolutely agree. As you said, Nora won 5 Oscars, but it wasn't the only winner. It wasn't the only winner. There were several other films.
It was a good spread this year.
I would say there was a lot more parity than there usually is. The Brutalist won 3 Oscars, including, of course, Adrien Brody. Right. And what I will say, as an Oscars nerd myself, he gave, again, a long speech, a 5-minute speech.
Right.
Like he did in 2002. And just like his speech in 2002, he was speaking for so long that he got played off and then stopped the music himself. Which, like, no, I'm not done. And then he referenced in the speech, like, hey, I've done this before.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of funny.
Adrien Brody was exceptional in The Brutalist, and I was happy to see The Brutalist get a little bit of love. It is a technically very well-made film. And, cinematography win, score win, and Adrien Brody. And also, just a side note, I mean, while we're talking about the music, don't play people off. Like, let them have their moment, regardless of how big or small their category is. Like, is it going to really be that big of a deal if the show goes a couple minutes over? Like, this is like the biggest night in Hollywood. Like, you can easily make that adjustment. And since we're talking about stuff we didn't like, I will say it was a little bit strange that Michelle Trachtenberg was left out of the in memoriam because she died. You know, she passed away before Gene Hackman did, which Gene Hackman is a much bigger star than she was, or was a much bigger star than she was. Um, but overall, at least I mean, in the past, the in memoriam has been rushed. Wasn't feel rushed this year, in my opinion, so that's good.
Didn't feel rushed, but they really did have the wrong choice of music.
The music choice was questionable.
Yeah, it felt like the score from Conclave.
It also reminded me a little bit of Succession theme music as well.
Yeah.
That was weird. Also, speaking of music, performances felt all over the place. They were good, but it's very interesting that the performances they had were like there was a Bond tribute. There was Queen Latifah singing a song from The Wiz. The only one that felt like it made sense was the Wicked one right at the beginning. Although, see Lisa perform. Did she do Live and Let Die? What song did she do?
She did. I think she did do Live and Let Die.
But she's a rock star. I mean, no pun intended, I guess.
That was very much, yeah.
But that was awesome because we're Blackpink fans over here on the Cinema Convos podcast.
Yes.
So like,
and then I personally, Ray is one of my favorite up and coming artists.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to see her absolutely get the spotlight and just kill it.
Yeah, she did good.
Happy to always have.
I will say I was hoping Adele would sing Skyfall. That would have been legendary.
Yeah, but you know what?
But she did a good rendition of it.
Absolutely.
And then Doja Cat did Diamonds Are Forever.
True. So the reason it was Lisa, Ray, and Doja Cat, so they all have a song together, right?
Right, they do.
It's one of Lisa's songs, and so it's just like, hey, you know, you already are a group. We'll just book you all as one, and then we'll have you sing the song.
I will say, I hope next year they go back to doing musical performances of the songs that are nominated. I think that's always kind of special, and like it's a part of like Ryan Gosling doing "I'm Just Cat" is one of my favorite moments from last year.
I do too.
Maybe the song selection just wasn't that good this year.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. When you do that, you're kind of at the mercy of what the song selection is, which isn't always a bad thing. You know, like you say, maybe just the song selection wasn't very good this year, or maybe they just didn't want, with the whole Amelia Perez stuff, they didn't want to perform 2 songs for Amelia Perez.
Yeah.
Which, what I will say, how do you think the reception to Amelia Perez was in light of just kind of the controversy surrounding it?
So I do think it won what I expected it to win, with Best Supporting Actress and Best Song. There was kind of an uncomfortable vibe when the movie was brought up tonight. Carla Sofia Gascon was there, and Conan made a few jokes about her tweets. And
I mean, they had to be made. I mean, it's the about thing.
It's a huge topic right now. So like, but I think in general, like, I think maybe the Academy was a bit. Maybe they were like, maybe we shouldn't have nominated this film for so many categories.
Yeah, they had a level of.
It didn't win Best Foreign Film, which is great. It went to I'm Still Here,
which is great. No, I'm ecstatic. As a big I'm Still Here guy,
we definitely called that.
Yeah, no, I would definitely say the reception to Amelia Perez just at the ceremony was frosty at best.
Yeah, there was, you know, they honored it as much as they had to or respected to, but like nobody was. I mean, there was one guy booing at one point, if you remember.
I don't remember that.
There was someone booing in the background when Amelia Perez was being talked about. It was very bizarre.
I'll go back and look.
I mean, it's not worth going back for. But it was more in the background. One of my friends pointed it out at our watch party.
Yeah.
We can talk about how the American Hustle of the night.
So the American Hustle Award is what I will say, because in 2013, American Hustle got 10 Oscar nominations and then won none of them. And so I like to hand out the American Hustle Award, which is for the most nominations with 0 wins. And that year, that award goes to Complete Unknown.
Yeah.
They won it. Got 8 Oscar nominations and won.
It got 8? I thought it was 6. 8 is crazy.
It got 8, dude, because it got 6 in the main categories, and then it got a couple of techs. So
yeah, well, not too bummed about that, to be honest.
Yeah. So I do want to talk about just you brought up Conan earlier. I thought he did an amazing job.
He was awesome. Conan was a great host. He kept the jokes pretty fair, and he knew when to be serious. Like he timed it perfectly. Like he was like, "Hey, now we're gonna honor the fire department. Now we're gonna talk about." He had that whole thing about how like we make what we're doing is so meaningful, and it was so nice because he's not even like really like a big film guy at this time, I guess, in his life.
No, not really.
Like he was a TV writer when he was younger, right? Like I know he's known for that.
Yes, so
it was cool for him to be so like positive about it. Generally, I found his vibe to be pleasant.
Yeah, I did too. So with Conan O'Brien, I am a huge fan of Conan O'Brien.
Yeah.
I love his stuff on late night. Love his old show there. Mm-hmm. His stuff he did on PBS, of course, his podcast, his HBO show. Mm-hmm. I'm a huge Conan O'Brien fan. I have been since I was a kid. And this just felt like vintage. Just felt like watching vintage Conan. Felt like watching a monologue from his late night days back when I was a kid, and just making topical jokes. He and it's not just him. I mean, he no doubt had a talented staff of writers behind him. He always does, and he's a great writer himself too. Mm-hmm. But just, gosh, is the guy charismatic and just delivers the joke, and he rides a fine line. He rides a fine line that he's very good at.
He's probably one of the most charismatic people to ever live.
Absolutely.
So,
and you're mentioning the fact that he's not a big film guy. I mean, that's right.
I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, because like I don't think so.
No, so he's been a TV guy. He was a TV writer. He became a late night host just from TV writing experience alone.
Yeah.
And occasional on-screen appearances when he was a writer at SNL.
Mm-hmm.
He got the late night job at age 29.
Yeah.
When he was a writer, which threw everyone for a loop. He's been in this business since 1993 when he got that job. Mm-hmm. And he only acted in his first movie in 2022. It was the Please Don't Destroy the film on Peacock. And he acted because they asked him to act. And that was the first time he'd ever acted in a film in his life. And he's actually starring in an A24 film, or he's in a supporting role. I forget the name of it. But it's him and Rose Byrne. And
I've heard about this movie.
Rose Byrne plays a woman who is going through a lot and has a complication relationship with her therapist, and he plays the therapist.
That's awesome. I mean, I think there's untapped potential for Conan as a movie actor. Like I could see him doing an incredible job as an actor.
No, I want that career arc for him so bad as a Conan fan.
I'm so here to see the Conan acting arc.
Yes, please, more of that. And I mentioned this to you, Yash. So what Jimmy Kimmel's had the opportunity to do, basically to be the regular host for a few years.
Right.
I want Conan to get that treatment because I think he deserves it.
If Jimmy Kimmel can host the Oscar like 3 times.
4.
Or 4 times, like Conan deserves it tenfold.
Yeah, no, he deserves to be one of the classic because, when they used to do the Oscars hosts, that was a gig that you would be able to have. So Bob Hope hosted like 15 times at least back in the day. And then Johnny Carson. Then Billy Crystal. Jimmy Kimmel seemed to be the guy on that trajectory. I would love it to be Conan instead.
I do think most people were over Jimmy Kimmel hosting the Oscars.
And that's fair, He has his shtick, and why I'm not the biggest hater of it. Some people are, and that's okay.
I think he's funny enough. Like he's not like Jimmy Kimmel hosting the Oscar is like if I don't know a good analogy for this, but it's just like it's one of those things where I'm like, that's fine.
Oh yeah, it can feel fine.
It won't excite me.
That's fair. Which
Conan hosting the Oscar, I remember I was with you when that announcement was made, and I was like, that's awesome. I'm so hyped for that.
I can't imagine that he hosts 5 years in a row and I'll get sick of it. That's how much I love Conan.
Yeah, I could watch Conan talk for hours. I mean, he's such a smart guy, such a funny guy, and just such a likable personality.
I agree. Something else, another category that was a surprise this year. Another category that was a surprise this evening was Best Animated Feature. Yeah. And that we thought it was going to be The Wild Robot, and it was Flow.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool. What I will say is this is the second year in a row where the Academy has gone for a foreign independent. Second year in a row, the Academy has gone for a foreign animated film. And that just shows that the Academy is really more open to these foreign animated films.
Yeah.
They always nominate them every year. With every new year, we learn about the Academy's voting patterns. And weird independent films, what the Academy's looking at is stranger, more independent, and more foreign. They're open-minded. And to nominate a film like Flow over the Wild, to award a film like Flow over The Wild Robot is a small embodiment of that. So I'm happy to see it, even though I like The Wild Robot better.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, one thing I will say is that looking back, I probably should have went with Flow because Flow was also nominated for Best Foreign Picture, which I feel like is a way more major category than any of the categories Wild Robot got in.
See, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think being in the tech categories really carry a lot of weight. I really do. What I will say, and I will throw this, Flea was the last film to accomplish this feat of being nominated for animated film and international film. And it also got nominated for documentary film in the
Right, because it
same
was a
year.
documentary as well.
This really isn't kind of a trend you can follow because that is such a rarity, but I wanted to point out that rarity and say that that is a great film and you should see it. It's on Hulu.
Flea?
Flea.
Yeah, Flea is a really good film.
Yes. I also wanted to point out that our Oscar picks in our previous episode of 23, we got 17 right.
Each of us?
That was the one. So like our combined ones, yes. Because the only
we differentiated on Eddie. Well, we were both wrong.
We were both wrong. So we got 17 out of 23.
17 is generally how many I get. Like 17 or 18.
Yeah. Now on my
one of these days I'll get Best Leading Actress.
Now on my personal ones, I got 18 because I switched my actress to Heike Madison literally this morning.
I thought about changing it, but I didn't. I stuck with my guns.
And then that was good.
Yeah. But yeah. Overall, not too many surprises in terms of winning. I mean, besides Mikey Madison, I think everything. And I guess maybe we're really surprised about editing because we weren't even sure about editing.
No, editing was a pure toss-up because looking at like the anonymous ballots that had been leaked, like we're going, oh, that's going to give us more of a clue of how this is going. Nope, because people were like, maybe it could be Wicked or Amelia Perez, and sometimes you just go, when in doubt, go with the film that has the most momentum. And that happened to be Anora. So that makes sense?
No, for sure. And the last thing I'll say about Anora is that I do think one thing Sean Baker always champions is telling stories of unconventional heroes and underrepresented groups. Like he doesn't really ever create a character that's like perfect in the lead. And I think that's really awesome that he was able to make a film this good that continues. He stayed true to who he is and won an Oscar for it. He didn't change the way he makes films, you know? Like he made the same kind of movies he's always made. Whether you watch one of his movies from like 20 years ago, you'll see a lot of similar themes. And, I think that's really cool. Like he didn't like sell out, I guess is the term I'm not trying to use, but like he stuck to who he is in the films he makes. And what he said about experiencing movies in the movie theaters, I think is really special and really important. And I'm really glad he took, he had many opportunities to speak tonight, and he took one of them to highlight that, which I really loved. And honestly, the general vibe after this Oscars is that I'm just excited to see what happens in cinema now. Like, I mean, obviously I was hyped when Oppenheimer won, but I just expected it. And I'm like, yeah, of course we're going to get more movies from Nolan that are going to be epic masterpieces. Like, I just already expect that. But now I'm really excited to see maybe Hollywood takes more chances on, like, the little guy and makes fun movies like Anora.
Yeah, no, I think so. Cool. Closing thought for me is that every year with their awards, the Academy sends a message. This year, the message is that independent cinema is great and it's the future.
Yeah.
And that's really, really cool. So go out and support independent film. If you have a film festival in your area, if you were interested in going to film, just go to even small festivals. Just go get interested in independent film, because who knows, some low budget film by a no name director. That director could be the next Sean Baker. That film could be the next Anora.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because let's not forget one of Sean Baker's greatest feats was making a movie on a freaking iPhone.
Yeah.
Tangerine was shot on an iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the same guy that just won 4 Oscars in one night, making history, I might add. No one's ever won 4 Oscars for the same film ever. So, independent cinema is the future, and the Academy has endorsed that.
Absolutely. And now I just really want to rewatch Anora.
Same.
That's like something that's on my mind now, which is funny because I had the opportunity to do it a few months ago when you were seeing it for the first time. And I was like, I don't feel like watching that again so soon.
That's true.
But now I'm like, I'm ready. I'm going to get the Criterion. I'm going to do it all.
As you should. You should see that, but also see more movies. See as many movies as you can.
Right. I mean, the Sean Baker library, I still have 2 more films of his that I haven't seen.
Yeah.
I just saw the film Takeout not too long ago which he co-directed. He didn't make that on his own. Yeah. But that's really good. Low budget indie movie that he did from like 2004.
Go see Sean Baker. Go see movies by Sean Baker. Go see movies by every other.
There are many Sean Baker.
Go see movies by that Sean Baker and every Sean Baker that's out there, because the next Sean Baker is probably in college right now, is in film school, or is struggling as a filmmaker and is showing stuff at festivals or making stuff as a hobby on their own.
Yeah.
So you never know. But This is a big validation for dreamers out there, for dreamers. So I'm just in a great mood from this.
Yeah. No, dude, it's really optimistic it's really inspiring and optimistic. It provides optimistic feeling that indie films like this can win Best Picture. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about the Oscars this year. Overall, good show. But yeah, so here's to the next batch of Oscar movies that we probably haven't seen yet. And I'm excited. I'm already excited for the next Oscars, and they're still a year away.
Yes, keep in mind that there's going to be a new category next year.
What's the new one?
Casting.
That's overdue.
Yeah.
So that should be a category.
So excited for that.
That'll be fun. I'm curious how they'll choose best casting, but
I am too, but I'm excited to find out.
Yeah, that's a huge part of filmmaking.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. So yeah, we wanted to say, this was kind of an impromptu hop on the mic situation after the Oscars, but thanks to all of you for listening as always. And we really enjoyed covering all the Oscars content we have for the past few months. And we're going to continue bringing you more film related stuff in the coming months. But for now, we're calling that the end of this year's Oscar season. And yeah, that's about all I have to say about it right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, we appreciate you tuning into our show. If you enjoy our show, you can give us a follow on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or social media, including Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you want to support our show, you can check out our merch, which is linked in all of our social media pages. And yeah, we hope you tune in next time.